For this lecture, what I want to do is fix a bug that I have on the admin side. Here are my notes. I mentioned that I want to fix the update method in the product controller, and the reason is an error occurs if we don't update the image. So I'm going to navigate or sign in as admin. I have Jane Doe registered as the admin, so I'm going to sign in. And currently I'm in the admin dashboard. So as you can see here, our buttons, one of the buttons is edit. We can edit our product, and the error occurs, but I'm not going to reproduce it, but I'm just going to explain to you what happens is that if we decide to update anything here, such as a name, description, price, quantity, anything other than the image, and we press submit, we end up with an error. All right, and the error is coming from the product controller or the product file within our controllers folder here. All right, so I currently have it opened, and more specifically, the error is coming from our update method here. So the way to fix this issue is starting with this line of code here. All right, now the request object has this file object attached to it. Now this file object is attached because we are using Motor, since we're using dealing with images. So Motor attaches this file object to the request, to this request object here. And I can show you if I collapse this folder and go to the backend routes and open our product file for it. Over here for the route on the backend, you see we're using this middleware here, and this middleware is Motor, and you can see here that it's requiring this middleware for Motor. All right, so what happens is that this middleware is this middleware right here does it attaches that file object to the request body or the request object here on our controller. But when this block of code runs then, and it finds that there was no image that was attached to it, we end up getting an error that's saying that request.file is undefined. Because again, we on the front end, we updated other stuff, but there's never an update or there's never an image file that was updated. So that's why the error happens. So the way around that is we have to set up a condition. We're going to say if request file is not equal to undefined, then at that point we want to run this line of code here. All right. At that point, we can say that since we know the request file is not undefined, meaning that there is an image attached to it, that we're going to now assign the request file name to the request body. All right, so that deals with the first possible error. But then there's another error that can happen that we have to fix, and that this right here does our query to the database. So it does take the data that's coming from the front end, and it updates the product in the database. So that works. That does work. But the problem is that, again, if we update data for the product but not the image, this line of code is still running. And this line of code, what it does is it removes from our file system the image related to that product. And as you can see here, it's pointing to the uploads folder because that's where we're storing our images in the file system. And if I go to the side, you see that I have this folder here, uploads, and this is where we have all of our images being stored. So regardless if we're based on this line of code here, if we update the image I mean, if we update the product but not the image, regardless, we're still removing this image from our file system, which if we do, then an error occurs because we wanted to update the product, but regardless, we ended up removing the image, even though we wanted no change to the image. All right. So I hope that makes sense. So to deal with this error, we have to, again, to wrap this here around a condition. And that condition is, I'm first going to check if, I'll copy this here. So if request file is not equal to undefined, meaning that, well, indeed there's a change in the image, or the image was uploaded from the front end, and that the request file name is not equal to the image that's coming from the database. All right, so this variable is going to have stored to it the old document before it was updated in the database. So what I'm checking to make sure is that the incoming image based off this is not equal to the old product dot file name. All right, so if that's the case, that means that there is a change. There's a new image coming in. Therefore, we want to remove the old image that's being stored here in the database. All right, so at that point, that's when we do want to remove the image from the file system. All right, so this takes care of that error. So now all of our errors should be taken care of, and we should be okay now. All right, so if I go back to here and I want to edit pasta carbonara, and I'm not going to change the image, I'm going to keep that the same, but I decide to change this price to $14. All right, I'm going to submit, and you can see that there's no error here. All right, we do get the same image, pasta carbonara, and we get the $14. All right, so that takes care of that. All right, now here you might see this little warning. It's just a deprecation warning, but that's all it is. All right, but it's not an error that we get. All right, so that's working, and so that's it for that. So that was the main issue I wanted to fix here for this video. So let me mark this off. And the additional things you see here, comments, is I get just little tweaks that I wanted to make. So the first thing is, let's see here. So the first thing is make a product out of stock in the database. All right. Now the reason why I want to do this here is because in the previous lecture, I just added this new property here that I wanted to show whether, or as a yeah. Well, we're showing the admin dashboard. So this was a new feature, little addition that I added to show whether the product's in stock or out of stock. Well, currently all of our products are in stock. So I figured, well, if we had this feature showing in stock or out of stock, why not, give one example, at least have one other product show that we're out of stock, right? So I just wanted to be able to show you guys that. So the way we're going to do that is make the product out of stock in the database. So I can do that here. If I go to the database, I'm going to go to the pasta carbonara. And you see we have product quantity. All right, so that's showing that we have 230 in stock. I can manually do that here. I can go edit document. And I'm going to say we have 0 as the quantity. I'm going to update that. Refresh. And if I go back to this here, I'm going to refresh the page. And now look, you see we're out of stock now. Now we're out of stock, and I'm gonna log out as the admin. And if I go to home page, and let's see here, even on the front end, like where the user, the non-admin, sees our home page, you can see that under the menu section, we have out of stock. All right. And if we go to view product, you see status out of stock. And in addition to that, we disabled the button if the product was out of stock. All right, so let's also, I'm going to sign back in and just make sure that as an admin that's working. So I'm going to do Jane Doe, sign back in. All right, so that's still out of stock. I'm going to edit, and I'm going to change that to 230, or let's just say 200. All right, so now we have some products or some items. I'm going to submit, and now you see the pasta carbonara that no longer is out of stock, we're in stock. All right, so that's working. I'm going to return it back to 0 quantity and submit, and we're back to out of stock. All right, so that's working. All right, next I want to fix the price and product component. Take price condition from cart component to resolve the decimal issue. All right, so fix product and product component. Okay, so let me close these. Actually, you know what? I'll keep them there and just go to the client folder, go to source components, and it's the product component. All right, so I'm gonna log out as admin, log out, go to product. So the issue is if we click on, say, this turkey burger, say view product, all right, you see here is displaying $8 with the decimal and everything. Everything's correct. If I go to view product, you see on our single product page for price, it's showing the $sign in 8, but no longer does it have that decimal with the 00. All right, I think I might have another one here that shows the same thing. Yeah, well, let's say 15, view product. You see the same thing here. 15. Let's say this here, $9, and same thing. So what I want to do is fix the issue and add the decimal point. All right, so the fix here is I'm going to go to our cart component. And if I go to, let's see, where is it here? All right, so I have this right here. I have this condition that uses toLocale string, and this helps fix the issue with the decimal. So I'm going to copy this whole thing here from the cart component and navigate back to the product component. And if I go back here to the price, let's see here. If I'm gonna delete, product price. Yeah, delete this and paste this instead. Okay, I'm gonna go back and try this again. All right, so now if I now go to, say, turkey burger, go to view product. So now you see that this resolves our issue with our decimal. So now it gives us the $8 here. Let's check out the other ones. All right. All right, so now that fixes the issue. There we go. Let me go here, mark this off. All right, and the final thing I want to do is this is, so add padding for the top and bottom. That's the Y. The PY. So add padding to the top and bottom to the button in product component. All right, so that is here. That's for the single product page here. I just want to make this a little thicker. Give some padding for the top and the bottom. So let's see, the product component here. So if I go to the button, that's this button right here. So I'm gonna add padding Y for top and bottom of let's see, what did I have it for? I wanted to put 2, a padding of 2. All right, so if I save that and go back, okay, it might be a little, you might not notice it too much, but it did add a little padding to the top and bottom, so it's a little thicker. All right, so that's it. So now everything is working. I just wanted to make those little tweaks, but primarily the main fix I wanted to make for this video was on the admin dashboard when updating a product. All right, so that's it for now, and I'll see you in another lecture.